3 Cents Podcast is brought to you by Integrity Roofing and Siding. These guys are awesome when it comes to roofing needs, but also siding and renovation. They do gutters. These are year-round issues, and Integrity Roofing and Siding is there for you 24/7 year-round. Need a roofer? Our roofer is Integrity Roofing and Siding, 210-340-7663. 210-340-7663. The official roofing company of 3 Cents Podcast is Integrity Roofing and Siding.
Oh, and just like that, unlike the Dallas Cowboys, we continue on in January here with another 3 Cents Podcast presented by Integrity Roofing and Siding. Ernie Zuniga, Mike Taylor is here. LG is over here. Cleto Rodriguez not with us today. I guess he's celebrating the Houston Texans victory, or he's mourning the Cowboys. I don't know, one or both. I don't know.
I'm just happy I'm here because with Cleto not being here, then it's you and LG, and
then you got 2 cents.
Yeah, well, we got one less cent today, so Godspeed, yes. Cleto, and sorry I was out too.
Yeah, no.
You know, we're in that like we've been very honest with our viewers. We are in hustle mode, and there are things that might come up that we got to go do, man. It's all about
life happens.
Yeah, it's about continuing to make sure we have roofs and jobs.
But that's a good thing about, especially right now, how cold it is. When having 3 cents, when 1 cent cannot participate, then the other cents pick up. But we were talking to Ronnie Suarez at Integrity Roofing and Siding the other day, and he was saying that it is so cold that his men cannot install roofs right now.
It's dangerous.
I mean, obviously, yeah. I feel for those people who are outside. Or
the bone-chilling cold, but then I guess maybe like the roofs, like when they're that cold, they get slippery, and it's just
shingles break and crack.
Yeah, that's what it was. The shingles get real breakable, I guess.
Yeah. So at any rate, we just, again, thinking about everybody that has to be outside right now. I just trying to take my kids to school this morning was not fun, and apparently it's going to be colder tomorrow morning.
Gosh.
But you're from the Metroplex. I mean, did you got your share of cold weather growing up?
Lots. Ice overs were at least once a year, where the whole thing just glazed over and you couldn't go anywhere, and if you had to, it was your life expectancy went down having to drive in that garbage. And I've been in Chicago in the winter. I've been in Green Bay, Wisconsin in the winter. And because they're so used to that weather, they do such a great job of keeping the roads safe. We're down here when it happens, and it's so costly that our cities don't really prepare much. It's going to ice over, just stay home. Rather than make sure the roads are safe, and it's like this mass sanding or salting or whatever. Yeah. We don't have the capabilities, and so when we get this, it's bad. So I mean, people from the north will make fun of us, but we're not equipped. But we're really not. We're not equipped. Mechanically, we're not equipped we're literally not equipped, not just mentally, but we don't have the gear and the technology because they don't want to pay for it because it doesn't happen often. Right? I guess I'm saying when it does do this, it's tough.
It's just like in the north when it's 90 degrees and we think, that's nothing, but they're not prepared for the heat.
Yeah. So it's been too cold, and no bueno. I suck in the cold. I am from the North Plains of North Texas. And that's still Texas, technically.
It is.
A lot of people around here don't think that Dallas is actually Texas.
No, it still is.
Still has the flag.
Hasn't been annexed yet or anything.
No.
That's just South Oklahoma.
Well, I'm from Fort Worth, though. I do want to make that clear. Us in Fort Worth, we agree that Dallas sucks. Anyhow.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, so my favorite barbecue place in Fort Worth, and I'll get to the point, but my favorite barbecue place in Fort Worth is called Railhead Smokehouse. Shout out Railhead.
Okay.
All of the people that work there, they all have to wear the same T-shirt. It says Railhead Smokehouse, Fort Worth, Texas. And on the back, it says, "Life is too short to live in Dallas." That's what it says. People that aren't from that area think that they want to lump me in as a Dallas guy.
Right.
Bullsh. I'm a Fort Worth man. We got 1 million people in Tarrant County.
Yeah.
We got running water, electricity,
all the utilities,
cars, and everything. So we're our own thing. Please don't lump us in. But it is what it is. It's always going to be that way. But I've gone through crappy weather, but I will tell you, in my old age, I don't want to tolerate it. And I lived in Hawaii for 3 years.
That's right.
And I turned into a weather wimp because I got acclimated to the Hawaiian climate was 80 every single day all year long. And this stuff we had here this week, dude, I know everyone's cold, but I am cowering.
Yeah.
I am not wanting to get in a car. If it gets below 50, I don't want to go outside. I mean, I've turned to that much of a wimp. So
I was considering
sucks.
asking you guys to do remote for this show because it was
It's
so
cold.
Yeah. I might have said yes.
I don't do
What
well.
is it right now, like 25?
Yeah.
The wind chill's very like in the
freezing.
20s.
That's
like
no
that.
bueno.
Yeah.
The only good thing is there's no moisture in the air right now.
LG's a Texan, but he's a coastal man at heart. He's like me.
I got
He
tropical blood.
he loves ocean towns and coasts and islands like me. And so guys like us don't do well at all in this kind of weather. It sucks.
All right.
I never wear sweaters. This is the only sweater I own.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm wearing it, I'm just trembling.
Yeah, I don't I don't own a lot of sweaters either, but yes, you can see I went short sleeve right now since obviously we're inside. But at any rate, have you done any welfare checks on people and friends in Dallas after the Cowboys performance over the weekend?
No, because everybody I know, whether they live in Dallas, San Antonio, Timbuktu, I mean, it's the same. It's Groundhog Day, and if you continue to buy into that thing year in and year out, you're nuts.
Yeah.
You're the same guy that runs when Peter cries wolf, and there ain't no wolf.
There's no wolf.
And we're all of us are guilty, even me. And I've been very ever since. You remember you watch every Cowboys game?
Sure, yeah.
They lost in Philadelphia on November the 5th.
Uh-huh.
Hard fought game, 28-23. Cowboys lost. Had a chance at the end.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Dak. But Dak did not make enough plays in winning time.
He stepped out of bounds, right? Like at the 1 yard line or something.
Trying to run in a 2-point conversion, and it's like, well, that's an accident. He didn't do it on purpose. Well, yeah, I know, but Troy Aikman never stepped out of bounds.
Right.
You know, Aaron Rodgers doesn't
Patrick
step out of bounds.
Mahomes doesn't.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't accidentally step out of bounds.
That's true.
Dak Prescott is not. He's not it. And of course, but they played better since then. They lost in Philadelphia, but that wasn't on Dak. That was on the defense. And so I allowed myself, if you'll go back to last week on Friday, I tweeted, all right, since the Eagles lost, in which he was not good,
right,
Dak has been phenomenal. So I'm going to reluctantly trust him.
Reluctantly.
So I predicted the Cowboys would go to the NFC Championship game and lose to the 49ers. I didn't have outrageous hope in him.
Right.
I thought Dak would play great Sunday in Green Bay, against Green Bay. I thought he would be great. I thought they would win a hard-fought game. The Packers are good.
Right.
A lot of people overlook them, but they shouldn't. The Packers won 7 of their last 10 games. They won 3 games in a row. The only man in the league at quarterback who's played better in the last 6 weeks than Dak is Jordan Love, the kid for Green Bay.
Right.
So I knew the Packers had a chance. I thought the Cowboys would win a hard-fought, 31-28 game, something like that. The Packers are good. And it wasn't even just Dak. It was the entire defense. CeeDee Lamb looked out of sorts. Nope, the kicker missed a field goal.
Hit the upright, whatever, yeah.
That was an annihilation from the coaching staffs. And I can give you examples all the way to the kickers and everybody in between. That is because, and I'll use a Greg Popovich line. They don't have the corporate knowledge that is required to win championships. Or even if they do, they don't care. Like the Spurs have what they call corporate knowledge. Mm-hmm. We don't have time for bull crap. Mm-hmm. We don't have time for the owner's not going to do 7 radio shows during the week. No. We're not going to have all these guys aren't going to have all. We're here to win games. Everything we do is about winning basketball games. And the Cowboys winning games is about 4th on their list. And it has always been that for Jerry. And that has not changed, Ernie. Sorry, you put me on a tirade here.
No, I kind of knew it would.
Whether it's Barry Switzer or Chan Gailey or Dave Campo or Bill Parcells to Jason Garrett to Wade Phillips, whether it's Tony Romo and Drew Bledsoe or Dak Prescott, whether it's, whatever, pick your running back. The faces change. The opponents change. The results never do. The common denominator is the family that owns that franchise. They don't have the right awareness. They don't take the proper approach to their seasons. And that's why this happens. That's a soft football team you saw the other day. And they were soft all year long, too. I should have never let myself get I used that word in that tweet, by the way. I'm going to reluctantly trust him.
Right.
I opened the door to rekindle the relationship with Dak Prescott. And what happened? The entire thing melted down, right? It's incredible. They're soft. But you go through the season, every time they played somebody good, what happened?
They lost.
And they didn't just lose, they quit. They quit like
San
the losers
Francisco.
they are. They laid down and got blown out by 3 touchdowns in San Francisco when things got hard. They got annihilated in Buffalo. Even the Miami game, the defense still crapped the bed at the end. Couldn't get one stop. That's a defense. And by the way, the defensive coordinator, everyone loves him. Just saying, but
Dan Quinn.
Still the Cowboys. Doesn't matter if it's Dave Campo, Dan Quinn, Rod Marinelli, whoever the defensive coordinator is, no one can overcome the poison that is the water of that organization because of the people that own the thing and the mentality of that organization. It's an amazing story. There's nothing like it in pro sports and any sport in this country that I've ever seen, where you've got that they've won 12 games in a row 3 years straight. They have talent, but they are absolute losers at this time of the year because they're soft and they don't have a championship kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And again, all the names change, but it's the same results, and the common denominator is the man behind the curtain.
So now the question comes up, as it already has, about speaking of name changes, that will there be a coaching change? And
there has to be.
And so Mike McCarthy, you think, has coached his last game as the Cowboys
coach?
Coach?
I mean, I think he has. He should have. Let's say that. I would have fired his ass already. I don't know. And here's the other thing. Jerry Jones is the most stubborn SOB that I've ever covered, ever paid attention to.
He is.
He is always the last guy in the room to admit what we all know. There's the old not seeing the forest for the trees. He can see. He just won't do it because he's stubborn. He's prideful.
Right.
He refuses to right or wrong until it's just obvious to everybody.
He just finally put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, finally. That was only about pride and stubbornness and bullcrap, and we just lap it up every year as Cowboy fans in this state.
I don't know why. I thought in recent years his sons would have more influence over him and maybe kind of
they're just like him.
Read the room a little bit better.
That's just it though.
The apple
they're
did
just
not
like
fall.
him. If he passes away today. Now, I don't have any idea who gets the team. Honestly, the smart one in that room up there is Charlotte Jones.
The daughter.
The daughter.
Right.
I wish that she could take over as owner and then hire a general manager. Somebody like John Lynch or Ozzie Newsome. Some brilliant GM who is only about winning games. It's mentality.
Yeah.
And it's that family. And Steven's just like him. Steven will beat to his drum, no doubt. I'm assuming Steven becomes the next owner.
But even the Suns, none of the Suns have become GMs, right? I mean, like the fact that
they couldn't work anywhere in the league. If Stephen Jones quit the Cowboys today, no one hires him tomorrow. No one. And I want to credit Stephen because he and his staff are really good at handling the salary cap. The Cowboys are pretty good. That's the craziest thing too. They are excellent at drafting. They're one of the 5 best teams in the league at drafting. Go look at the last 10 years. They're great at drafting.
For sure.
They have one of the best salary cap offices in the league. They have gurus that they've hired. So Steven and his staff, they do know what they're doing based on what they're asked to do.
Right.
But again, it is that intangible. It's not an X or an O. It's that intangible. There's something in the water up there that the Jones family puts into it. They're lead. They're poison. It's a mentality, man. I'll give you a prime example. Dan Campbell and what he's doing in Detroit. Don't tell me that a mentality is silly, and Mike, it's about X's and O's, and they've got more talent. Does anyone think that Jared Goff is better than Dak Prescott?
I was going to say D'Amico Ryan's in Houston. The same can be said for that team.
Yeah,
right
Dan Campbell goes to Detroit, and he needed a mulligan year because we talking about the Lions.
0-16, right? Yeah.
They bring in a cast-off in Jared Goff. He's got Jared Goff playing as well as he's ever played. Jared Goff is playing better right now than when he went to the Super Bowl with the Rams a few years ago. They were so sick of Jared Goff in L.A., they traded him for Matthew Stafford, and it worked, and they won the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford.
Right.
But Goff So, again, my point is Goff is not more talented than Dak is.
Correct.
But you would rather have Goff with a game on the line at this time of the year than Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
You know, there's a kid named Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah. Is he better than Micah Parsons? Is he more talented than Micah Parsons?
He's good, but
they're at least comparable.
Right.
What does Aiden Hutchinson do in winning time of a playoff game? He has 2 sacks when they need it the most. Micah Parsons did not register a stat in this game against the Packers. Again, the names all change.
Right.
They bring all this world. CeeDee Lamb is first-team All-Pro. No wide receiver has ever had a better year, statistically speaking, in the regular season, mind you, than CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
But we get to the season that counts. You ain't Michael Irvin, boy. You ain't Drew Pearson. You ain't even Lance Rensel at this point. CeeDee Lamb sucked against the Packers on Sunday. And he's pouting in the first quarter. McCarthy's having to go over and talk to him in the first quarter.
Yeah, they looked very off sync.
What are we doing? That was just a top-to-bottom no-show. And, again, McCarthy should be fired. Mm-hmm. And I don't care who you bring in. Bill Belichick can come in here tomorrow. He's not enough to overcome the Joneses. The toughness, the mental awareness, the right fortitude that Belichick would bring, I don't think it's enough to penetrate that iron wall that is that Jones buffoonery. Bill Parcells couldn't do it, and that's Bill Belichick's mentor, by the way. This is who they are. This is what they do.
There are some good coaching candidates out there that could become available.
And you got to bring them in and give them a shot.
But will they want the team next year? But will they want to mess with?
Why on earth would Bill Belichick want to mess with the Joneses? He's 71 years old. He's chasing Don Shula's
or Jim Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin or
they're not going to put up with that crap. They're not going to do that. Mike McCarthy was unemployed. Of course, he took the job. He wanted another shot at coaching in the league. He didn't care where.
Yeah.
Belichick has choices. John Harbaugh has choices. Mike Tomlin may not get fired, but if he does, he's got choices. If you're Bill Belichick and you've got an ownership group in L.A. that will never even call you, you have autonomy there, and you have Josh Herbert. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a kid with unlimited talent. Mm-hmm. Why on earth wouldn't you take that job? That's a Chargers team that has the talent right now to win multiple playoff games. Yeah. They need that toughness, and that ownership group will allow him to go in there and instill that toughness that he will not get if he goes to Jerry World.
And, I mean, just the spectacular fall of Dak Prescott, who was in the MVP conversation not too long ago and just seemingly threw all that away.
Yeah.
Over the weekend.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, but he did what he does.
I mean, I know you're not surprised by it, but so now there's a whole
I'm
other
not
issues.
surprised.
What now? No, what do you do there?
Well, what I would do is I would try to extend his contract, actually, because he's a $59 million cap hit next year. You cannot have that. By the way, those of you that watch this show that don't pay, I hate to get too deep diving into football. There's a salary cap.
Yeah.
And it's capped off at, I don't know, I haven't seen what it's going to, they usually set it right after the Super Bowl for the upcoming fiscal year in the NFL.
Right.
I can just tell you, paying one guy $59 million means you may not be able to field the full roster next year.
Yeah.
Clearly, something has to be done with Dak's money. What they need to do, now I'm telling you what they need to do, but that does not necessarily mean what they're going to do.
Right.
They need to extend his contract, actually, because you can't get rid of him. It's a massive pickle.
Right.
But you can't pay him $59.
No.
You have to talk him in, 4 more years, but we take that $59 million and we start spreading it out over that 4 years. Okay, you're still going to get your $59. You just can't get it next year because we got to sign other guys.
Yeah.
We have to be able to re-sign good players that are coming up for free agency. We've got to be able to field the roster. We have to draft kids. I would keep Dak, and I would immediately start trying to replace him right now. You know who does that better than anybody? The Green Bay Packers do.
Yeah,
because they don't have time for bullshit. All they care about, Ernie, is winning.
Right.
They had Brett Favre in his prime, and what did they do? They draft Aaron Rodgers in the first round, and Favre was still in his prime.
Right.
Favre's like, "What are you doing?"
And the Packers are owned by fans.
Yes, they draft Aaron Rodgers while Favre was still in his prime.
Right.
And then what did they do when Aaron Rodgers was still in his prime?
Jordan Love.
They draft Jordan Love anyway. And look at this kid. 3 years of sitting behind Rodgers.
Right.
They turn it over to him, and he was mediocre at best for the first 2 months of this season.
Correct.
But he has figured it out. His brain has caught up to his talent.
Right.
And because all they care about in Green Bay is winning games, and not Twitter and reality shows and DraftKings commercials,
Right.
that kid has turned into what he's turned into, and there's no one been better than him in the last 6 games. Nobody. Not Brock Purdy. Nobody.
Correct.
Nobody.
And he made some of those throws falling backwards off of one foot.
He looked like Aaron Rodgers.
He looked
awesome.
Very eerily similar to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So.
And because they've developed. So, again, I would start drafting quarterbacks. I'd bring in a veteran and have him compete with Dak for the starting job next year. And if Dak wins the job, great, no problem. Open up this kid, Trey Lance. Give Trey Lance a legit chance to win the job. Who says Dak has to be the starter just because he's still on the team? Your ass is the backup, buddy. We are now moving you out. We love you.
Right.
We'll pay you.
Nothing personal.
We'll spit. And by the way, if he throws a fit over that and doesn't want that, well, then I would go ahead and eat the $59 million. I'd dump his ass. I don't want anything more to do with him. It's fine if he's still your guy next year, but they have got to start replacing him right now. And it starts in the draft in April. They need to draft a quarterback as high as they can. Why not? They drafted Dak when they still had Tony Romo, and look how it went.
Yeah,
Dak ended his career. That's the other thing. Jerry is not this ruthless guy that everybody thinks he is either. He gets all in his feels, and a lot of it's stubbornness because he doesn't want to admit that he's wrong. But he gets all in his feels. I love Dak Prescott. I'm gonna give Dak. A lot of that's part of it being too loyal to guys who've made you money, because that's what comes first, making money. And Dak's made Jerry a lot of money.
Right.
But it is not how you win in the NFL. You've got to be ruthless. The NFL is a mercenary business for mercenaries. You may be great today, and next month you're out of here. And the teams that are ruthlessly that way, and it sucks. You're never going to be good friends with your manager.
Yeah.
But that's not what he's there to do.
He's not there to be your friend.
These kids, what's the average year? What the average career in the NFL is 3 years?
2 to 3 years.
Yeah, you bring them in, you get all the blood out of the rock, and you ship their ass out before you have to pay them. That's how it goes. And the teams that do that ruthlessly every year are the teams that usually win. That can most go look at the consistent teams over the years and how they handle their salary cap, how they handle their rosters. They're ruthless. It's a business. It's about winning. It's the business of winning football. And Cowboys, again, winning's like 4th or 5th on that list.
Yeah.
And for 20 years, you heard, nobody wants to win more than Jerry. That couldn't be less true. Couldn't be less true. Start replacing Dak now, even if he's still your starter next year. If you don't like it, tough tease.
Yeah. No, very interesting to see how it plays out. Makes for good sports talk radio and podcast material.
There's the way to do it, and there's the way the Cowboys do it.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything changing, even when they pass the thing over to the kids.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, and if you think that we're going to be rid of the Joneses at some point in our lifetimes, oh, no.
No.
There's a young man named John Peter Jones. You ever heard of him?
He's the son of...
He won back-to-back state championships at Highland Park.
Oh, okay.
He's now 21. He just graduated from Arkansas. You know what his first job is? Intern with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
He's your future owner, too. They're never going away. The Joneses will always own the Dallas Cowboys as long as you and I are alive, for sure, even if you live to be 90.
Well, and they still will not have won a Super Bowl probably by then, but
maybe not. Have you seen all the stats on, and not even just the NFL, pro leagues, the NBA, Major League Baseball, teams that have won X amount of percentage of games that have not even gone to the second round or the third round of a playoff? The Cowboys are they are a unique story in sports in this country from the standpoint of always good, never great.
Right.
The Texas Rangers have now won the World Series. And the Cowboys are still getting dumped in the wild card. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I saw the stats the other day about how many years it's been since, and people talk about winning Super Bowls and everything, but I mean, it's been, 28 years since they won?
I didn't have any crow's feet right here in my eyes. I had no gray hair.
I didn't have any gray hair either.
I have a 25-year-old who was not alive.
Yeah, well, none of my kids were alive.
Yeah,
I was
for
thinking
sure.
Super Bowl 30
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent.
No, it's okay.
I'm not doing my sports show this week. We're on hiatus.
No, I know.
This is the first time.
Yeah, I wanted
I've
you.
had a chance.
I kind of figured this would be the first time that you've had.
We did a post game Sunday, but I was liquored up and mad. So this is the first sober chance I've had that doesn't come laced with F-bombs where I can talk about the thing, and I appreciate the.
I don't know if you still have your jar of Fs from the new year.
Oh, it's half empty
already.
After the post game the other night, it's half empty.
Oh goodness! All right.
Unfortunate. How have you been, man?
I'm good. I mean, I cold and just getting through the weekend and everything, getting back into the rhythm of things after enjoying the holidays off and getting back to being productive. I know you've got a new show coming out in a few days, and I've got some things that I'm working on. Fingers crossed, and people reaching out. So
excellent. I just keep seeing your Ray Feo stuff. That's heating up too, right?
Yeah. So now that I think we're less than 100 days away from Fiesta.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a big event over the weekend, and now we get into the spring where we have fundraisers, and then in the beginning of February, we're going to do school visits. We're going to visit. Right now, I think we've got 89 schools we're going to visit.
Whoa. How many of you are there to divvy up?
Yeah, well.
How many stops do you have to make?
88, probably. Probably most of them. Well, that's
because
what
of your role, you have to
because
kind of
I have the microphone and
Yeah.
I'm emceeing. I'll have to find an understudy or a backup because there'll be some days where
So you are the guy that primarily does all of them.
Well, so 2 years ago we went to 83 schools, and I probably did 75 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, of course, I was had a different schedule.
Middle school and high schools?
Elementary, middle, and a few high schools.
Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy because we have an education secretary whose job it is to take in all of these requests and then look at the map of Barrow County or whatever and figure out how to. Can you imagine logistically scheduling 89 school visits, and you have to lump them geographically?
Wow.
And so there'll be some days here starting in February.
Just coming up with the plan.
Starting in February, there will be some days where we do 6 or 7 schools in a day. So you do like 3
with
in
you?
Yes. So you do 3 in the morning, go have a quick lunch, 30, 40-minute lunch.
Mm-hmm.
We should have a bus by then where we're all, that's how we get to be in the bus and we have a police escort and everything.
You need a chopper.
Well, I need
just
helicopter me, drop me off on the roof of the campus. And then you go in, you're probably at each campus for 30 minutes.
Okay.
It's kind of like a NASCAR pit crew.
So what do you
set everything up and get out?
What's that 30 minutes entail?
So we'll do a program. So because it's the 75th anniversary of Ray Feo this year, it's the Diamond Jubilee. Mm-hmm. So John McFadden is the Ray Feo. And then we have 2 queens, the Reina de la Feria de los Flores, her name is Alexandria, and then La Reina Linda, her name is Stephanie. Mm-hmm. The 3 of them have been working together on a skit that they will perform. There'll be a program, and so it'll be for 89 times. We'll essentially do the same thing, and it'll be original to all the kids,
like a traveling
obviously.
Broadway show.
But it'll be like and so. The first 2 or 3 are usually a little bit like you're feeling each other out and you're trying to figure it out. But then by the time you get to like 8 or 9, you can do the thing in your sleep.
Yeah. It's like a Broadway musical.
It is. Yeah. But it's really cool. It's, you see the kids and you realize kind of the impact they have. And I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, I get that not everybody is into Fiesta or the Ray Feo or anything. But a lot of it is just inspiring these young kids who hopefully one day will apply for the scholarships. And there are stories out there of city leaders and city council members and one of the Bexar County commissioners who have openly talked about, if not for that Ray Feo scholarship 20, 30 years ago, there's no way they would have been in elected office, much less maybe doing something else. So we're looking to make that kind of an impact and obviously raise some money along the way. And then when we get to April 18th for Fiesta, we'll have a good time.
As you were talking about having to strategically put 89 schools on a map, something popped in my head. I'll never forget this. And I think it's gotten a little bit better, but probably not where it should be. I'll never forget when I first moved to this city. Mm-hmm. So I had little kids. Mm-hmm. Right? I need to figure out a school. I need to figure out where to live. I moved here in 2007.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, I'm like, okay, cool. I went to SAISD. Okay, cool. San Antonio ISD.
Right.
Stupidly, without any knowledge about how school works here.
Right.
And I'm reading about SAISD, looking at this and looking at that, looking at some of their data, and I'm like, wow, that's not good. Whoa, that's not awesome. That's not great. And I'm like Googling SAISD, news clippings, things. I think I might have even seen a package that you guys did, on test results and ratings. I don't get wrapped up in test results and ratings, but you throw it all in there.
It's out there.
Where I'm going was I thought, my gosh, this district's. What I did not realize is how territorial divided we are as a city, school district wise. Like I just thought SAISD was blind by me. I thought it was the whole city.
I get it. I get
realized,
that.
No,
right.
Not only I realized that the city is kind of shaped like a giant ice cream cone. With the north being the top of the ice cream cone.
Right.
And the further south you get, it's not really San Antonio anymore.
I see.
Right. So I realized, there's like 17 districts within this town.
Yes.
I did not know
little
that.
bitty ones.
Yeah, there's Edgewood, and there's I didn't realize how many different little there's a north side, there's a northeast,
Highlands
there's
and
Harlandale,
Harlandale, and Edgewood
and
and Somerset, and
I'm like, okay,
right,
okay, let me go to Northwest ISD. That's also in San Antonio, but it's not SAISD, it's Northwest ISD. A very complicated, and I know we're a massive.
You mean North Side?
North Side,
North Side
ISD. There's the North Side and the Northeast.
Northeast, correct.
I still get it mixed up.
No, I can.
We have such a complicated educational layout with all of the districts. I can't even imagine, like being in education or being a part of an organization that wants to help education in this city, like Ray Feo does, and having come up with 89 different schools. Now you got to contact all these districts, all these principals to get this permission.
Right, and then
you can't just call two people.
No, and you can't get into everyone. There are more than that applied. I mean, don't forget we go to private schools as well.
Okay,
and maybe like a pre-K for SA or charter schools.
Yeah.
So those are out there too. It is complicated, or it can be very complicated. I can understand where somebody coming in from another city will see that and be like, wait a minute, I thought it was just all one.
Yeah, and I get that it's such a giant town.
Right.
If you had one district, like New York City, so massive,
right.
They don't even have names for their schools. It's PS 295.
Correct. Numbers.
PS 83. All the schools have numbers.
Right.
Oh, hell, good old number 29. I'll never forget my days.
29.
Yeah, never. So we don't want that, but at the same time, I can't imagine how complicated it is politically. I've learned a little bit over the years since I moved here, and it's been 2007, but just how complicated our educational system is when you look at all of the different people that have say-so in the education of kids just in this one town. It's incredible.
Simultaneously right now, if you look at, say, North Side, for example, the growth happening in that part of the city, North Side.
They're getting ready to have to divide.
Right? But at the same time, you have SAISD, which is, I think, in the process of closing multiple campuses.
It's unbelievable
because of a lack of enrollment, and it's just financially, it doesn't make sense. You can't sustain these campuses and everything without enough kids there.
Yeah, and why is that? How does that happen?
I think just
the South Side's just as big as the North Side geographically. Or
yeah,
I guess it's
but
been squeezed to other districts.
There's these internet deserts as well where people just can't, I take for granted that I can get Wi-Fi signal at my house and everything. But some of these kids, there are stories of kids, and this is not like, I'm not talking about 1995 or like 2023, where in order for them to do assignments, they had to go, or their parents would take them to them. I've heard these stories, McDonald's parking lot or a Starbucks parking lot, because you can use the Wi-Fi off of the
doing
McDonald's.
Homework at McDonald's.
Because they can't.
Wow.
Especially this was really the case during virtual learning, when the kids had the Chromebooks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And some of these kids could not log on at school, and so their parents would say, "All right, let's go to the McDonald's or whatever the place is nearby, the library, and we're going to park outside. Okay, turn on your Wi-Fi," because they can't get a Wi-Fi, or maybe they couldn't afford, to pay for high-speed internet at their house, So, there's still some problems that are out there.
Yeah,
but.
And so look, every town's got problems. Every big town certainly.
Yeah.
But man, it's cool to see an organization. There's lots, but you guys are a huge one. And I'm assuming when you give out scholarship money, some of these kids are from places where they probably had to go to McDonald's to do homework.
That is correct.
Yeah.
One thing that's new this year, which I like to brag on, is the addition of trade schools.
So, cool.
So it used to be where the scholarships were given out to 4-year degrees, and then the 2-year degrees came in.
Oh, okay.
And then within the last year or two, it was decided, and I certainly cannot take credit for this, but that they wanted to include the trade schools, which I think is fantastic, because how many people, I'm sure you know somebody, I certainly do, people that have gone through trade schools, and you realize a 4-year college is just not for everybody.
I love it. I love that.
And
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
think of all the beauticians and estheticians and contractors, electricians and plumbers that could use that scholarship money as well.
Those professions, a lot of those professions have wrongly been devalued.
Yes.
And that's crap.
No,
it sucks. So there was, 60 years ago, you could be an auto mechanic and make a great living, and it was enough. And no one thought, oh, yeah, he's just a mechanic. No, that's crap. There was no social weirdness or label. You could be a bus driver 60 years ago, and no one thought, oh, you're just a bus driver. But it's not just people socially. The profession gets devalued because they don't want to pay. Like, sorry, Via. But I'll bet you it was more affordable to drive Via buses in the 70s than it is in the 2020s. I'll bet you.
With inflation and everything.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's like, and then those so it's like blue collar jobs, tech jobs have been devalued, and they shouldn't be. So, and it's hard enough to get an education as it is.
Yeah.
You talk about, and by the way, I've gone on tangents before. I think that the American college system is overrated.
Yeah, no, you've talked about that.
And what education needs to look like versus what it used to look like needs to massive overhaul. But at the same time, we got to get back to where we respect plumbers. We respect,
You certainly respect it when you've got a leak in your house, or
I had one on Easter. I had a plumber. I had a toilet that would not work on Easter, and I had to call a plumber on Easter to come save my butt.
Yeah.
Literally, my butt needed that plumber to fix that toilet because I could not flush. So I had to hold it.
Till he got
done.
Upper decker.
Yeah, or find a McDonald's.
So forgive my ignorance, but I've never learned, why is it Ray Feo? Why is it the ugly
king?
Yeah, why is it the ugly king?
To paraphrase, it goes back to a legend. I believe it's in Spain, and now I'm gonna kick myself for not knowing this perfectly, but it's essentially the story where years ago, many years ago, the royalty was living high in his castle and everything, and thought very low of his peasants, the common folk down outside of town or whatever. And so the people themselves took it upon themselves one time to say, now screw this, we're going to elect our own king, and as not to offend the real legitimate royal, they elected someone, and they called this person the ugly king. So, as not to offend the real king and get themselves in trouble. And so then the ugly king became a kind of a folk hero, if you will, and very popular among his people. And then fast forward a decade, 100 years and years later, when the Fiesta version was taking shape, and then can't remember who it was. There's a book that was written about this recently. But they took inspiration from that to say that in the current case, it's an entrepreneur or a businessman who does this, and he's crowned the people's king, and he goes out and hands out medals and raises money for scholarships, and becomes a hero to the people.
Okay.
So I'm sure I could have said that better.
Kind of like the Grinch.
It goes back to the Spanish
in love with the
Inquisition.
Yeah, and his heart grows. Yeah. What is it? Something like You're more better at you're better at history than I am.
LG certainly has studied Spanish history. So
yes,
that's one of his favorite countries.
A little bit.
He's been to Spain.
I know geography more than the history. So.
Yeah. Like he can tell you where Malaga is and Sevilla.
Yeah,
I could not. I just know that these towns exist.
Andalusia, South Spain.
There you are. Even gave you the.
I like
region.
It's beautiful. It's right on the coast.
There it is. He's been to the rock. What is it, Gibraltar? The very tip.
I didn't go to Gibraltar, but I did cross the Strait of Gibraltar.
Okay, very good.
To Africa from Spain.
Yeah. He's that man's a world traveler.
No, I travel vicariously through him. I just got a passport just in the last 3 years or so, and I've used it once. So I need to travel.
Man, I have not been out of the country.
In 2 years, right? Or 10 years.
10 years,
10 years.
So what was the last time you were out of the country? 2 years ago?
No, we got it when Tammy and I went to Cabo.
Was it a Klepto cruise?
No, it wasn't a Klepto cruise. It wasn't. Although I would have liked to have gone on those, but no, it was not a Klepto cruise. It was. I guess it was right before the pandemic. We went. Had a great time, but Finally got it.
Okay, Mexico doesn't count. Last
No, I
country
know.
you've been to, not Mexico.
No, I've never left.
Wow.
Other than we went to Maui for our honeymoon 25 years ago.
It's still America.
I know, but
May
I'm
not
just saying in
seem
terms
like
of leaving the contiguous United States. Well, been to
Okay.
Cancun, a couple of cruises,
Okay.
Cabo, but
right.
I've never been on the other side of the pond, if you will. I've never been
Yeah.
across the pond.
Oh, man.
Never been to Canada.
Wow.
Never been to.
never
I've
been
been to
to Canada
Mexico,
either.
but
You
just
get
trying
out
to think.
there.
Yeah.
I've been 10 miles from the Canadian border, and don't ask me why I didn't go to Canada. I was in outside a little town called Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
It's a French name. I'm going to
Yeah.
butcher.
No,
The
I've heard.
furthest big town in the state of Idaho. You know, Idaho has
yeah.
a panhandle.
Sure.
Has a little tiny
A thin
strip.
sliver.
You've got Washington, a sliver of Idaho, and then Montana. I've driven along the border from Upper Washington,
Right.
Spokane, Topeka area.
Yeah.
Not Topeka, Spokane area. Into Idaho, and then into Montana.
Did it take like 5 minutes to cross Idaho?
Oh, it was nothing. It was country road, and it was in the summer, and I don't know why I didn't go to Canada. I should have. So
Yeah.
I've never technically stepped foot in Canada. Although you could smell I was so close you could smell wildfires coming from the Canadian mountains that week. It was weird.
Maybe that's why you didn't go.
It was weird. But I haven't used my passport since I went to, Costa Rica, maybe. I
Okay.
think that was the last time I was out of the country, and that was in probably 2016.
Mm.
Shared an airplane with Lady Gaga.
Really?
She was on that plane.
A commercial flight.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
She flew commercial.
Okay.
Out of Houston. Yeah. And she said they put her on the plane before us. They put her in the front seat. She put dark glasses on and went to sleep. And we all just filed in. There's Lady Gaga.
But you knew that was her.
Is that the most?
Absolutely.
Is that the most famous person you've shared a flight with?
That I'm aware
Randomly?
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I
Lady
was. I'm
Gaga.
just trying to think. I don't remember.
I knew it was her right away. So I think it was the year. It was whatever the year was she did Super Bowl in Houston.
Oh wow.
She was
gotcha.
brilliant, by the
Gotcha.
way. She's so good.
Yeah.
I think she was in Houston getting ready for the Super Bowl, or had just done it. So it might
Okay.
have been. It was late winter, right after the Super Bowl, and I'm at the George Bush International Airport, getting ready to get on a plane to Costa Rica, and a little cart comes up, beep 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 beep. Like they take the old people, or
Yes.
they take disabled people, And we look back, and they're
Or celebrities.
Damn, that's Lady Gaga. No, yeah, it is. And they wheel her right up to the front. She gets off. She's got a guy with her, and they let her walk the catwalk to the plane. I'm like, what the hell? That's our plane. And sure enough, as we got on, you get on the front plane, you start walking down the aisle, and right there she is with these big giant glasses on, and she'd already gone to sleep, or she's
Sure.
faking it.
Faking. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I'm not going to bother.
No
the
eye
lady. I'm not going to
contact.
bother her. But Lady
Yeah.
Gaga. Anyway, so
goodness.
I've not been out of the country since then. That's crazy.
All right.
And I have a passport just rotting in my drawer at home. I got to use it, man.
Yeah.
When our
We need
our
time off.
podcast empire blows up,
That's what I was
LG
gonna
and
say.
I are going to start traveling more and doing stuff because we have grandiose dreams for this thing, don't
Oh
we,
my
LG?
God,
I
international.
need time off. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just wants time off too.
There's that.
I'm not taking a day off since last June.
No, I can relate to
Okay.
a certain extent.
Only when I've gone to see my children in Hawaii.
Well, yeah.
And still did shows.
You did a show.
Did Cowboy postgame show from a
One
hotel in Hawaii last trip.
One show.
Okay, sir.
He runs a very tight ship.
I just need time. I'm
that was a
thinking
family
about
trip.
taking spring break.
You
with
should.
the college kids.
You
Like,
probably
I'm out.
ought to.
Like,
You probably ought to. God knows where our lives will be in March.
And we'll
We're,
see.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
month to month
Exactly.
here, man.
No, we're
yeah.
just-
Oh
we're
yeah.
just-
I'm week to
I might
week.
be 9 to
Shit.
5 at
Ride the
Home
wave.
Depot by March.
We're just riding the wave.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Or we're treading water. However you want to call it. I would love to ride a wave. I feel
Then
like
we'll-
I'm treading more of these days than
then
riding
we'll call the
waves.
plumber that we just talked about.
I'm out here. I'm like a little duck, super calm. But if you look underneath the
Yeah,
surface,
yeah.
my legs are every day. That's my
Oh,
life these
my
days,
gosh.
man.
Quack,
That's
quack.
my life. Which is why you should support the 3 Cents Podcast.
Thank you. Yes.
We are in the market, by the way, for support.
Always.
This is a show that hopefully will continue to go as long as Ernie and I and Coletta want to do it. And we're we're three guys. We do 2 of these a week, and we're certainly not here for funsies. Although it's been very therapeutic being able to share things with you boys. I admit that. I'll say that.
There is a therapeutic component to this.
Ideally,
it's nice to get a check.
Ideally,
though,
we'd have partners on this
nice.
show. Like we've got Integrity, which we love them hard. We would love to fill that screen up there with logos. If you have any interest, reach out to Ernie or me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we can. It's not like people probably see these shows and think, oh, it's probably $50,000 a month. These guys are griping about money.
No, not yet, at least.
No,
not yet.
No. Look, they're repoing our sound booth out there right now. You know?
Well, they clearly don't take our sound into where we are now. That's all right. Now, by the way, Chatterbox wouldn't be here. It's a freebie.
Oh my gosh, this is
It's
great.
a freebie. It's
There they are.
My buddy owns this place. Thank you,
Right.
Chatterbox.
Yep. If
This
you need
is-
a place to do your podcast.
Yeah, and this has never happened where they've done work.
No,
But, you
that's
know,
okay. It happens.
They picked the worst podcast to do the work in, I guess.
And speaking of free,
Well, the one they're letting work for free.
we got Alamo Tees here. I know Cleto's not here to give them some
What's
love.
up?
But
Olale.
we got the swag as well.
Olale,
But now
Alamo
we
Tees.
just need the long sleeve shirt now.
Cleto knew a guy, you know.
we're blessed.
And Chatterbox, I happen to be longtime buddies with the guy that owns this.
Ernest.
We're treading.
No, we're getting there.
We're
We're
hoping
getting
to-
there.
hoping to
It's
continue
a
to get
marathon, not a sprint, I guess. But
Keep telling yourself that.
well, I'm just going to keep telling until somebody tells me to stop.
Yeah, no, but we want to build something here. We mean that, you know.
we do.
Whether it's this show or the show we're starting next week, and we just want to put good content on. And
That's the idea.
And hopefully there's an audience enough that is willing to stay with us, and then there's people that want to support it because there's an audience that want to ride this wave with us too.
Well, what I tell
And
people is we
contact
have
us.
the platform. We've been blessed to have been in the market long enough where we have the platforms to give people exposure or elevate businesses or nonprofits or causes, whatever that looks like, for a fraction of what you would pay if you wanted to go get a billboard or put your
Sure.
picture on the side of a
Absolutely.
Via bus or produce a TV commercial. So at any rate, just wanted to put that out there. But no, we appreciate all the support, and we'll take whatever else we can get. But that's all the time we have for today. So we got to get going. These men have more work to do, apparently, on the sound booth. So we're going to wrap up another edition of the 3 Cents Podcast presented by Integrity Roofing and Siding. We'll be back very soon on Thursday with another fresh, all-new episode. So, and hope to have Cleto back for that very soon. So for Mike and LG, I'm Ernie Zuniga. We'll see you next time. Have a good day. Stay warm.
$3 Cents Podcast is brought to you by Integrity Roofing and Siding.